So as you get, so yeah, I might even think about this sequentially, right? So the first mistake you make before you've launched anything is I think picking the wrong people to work with. Once you launch something, I think the most common mistake I saw is not optimizing for finding a small group of users that really, really love your product. And what I mean by that specifically is the most common outcome when you launch anything new in the world is to get a bunch of people sign up, kind of use it, and then like go back to Reddit or doing something else. And you can keep chasing more and more users like that if you want. There's usually always some tactic that you haven't thought of yet to get another 100 people to use your product in kind of like a meh way. What's much harder is to find like 10 people that use your product and then go and tell like everyone else about it because they're like obsessed with it, right? And so I think that's the most common mistake post-launch is avoiding doing the hard work of, hey, maybe it's not the right time for us to try and 10x right now. Maybe the right thing is to spend another month just iterating on the product to get this initial set really, really excited. Once you do that, if you do get your initial set of users that love you, then I think a really common mistake startups make is not focusing on retaining them enough. So it's pretty common to see a company that gets this initial user base, they get initial great reviews, then they go out and sort of pull levers, they raise a round of funding, and then once you have funding in the bank, you can buy ads, you can do marketing, you can sponsor conferences, you can do all kinds of stuff to get people to know about you and come. But if you don't pay attention to, are my users actually retaining? You get top line growth at the expense of like substance. And if you're a great fundraiser, you'll be able to keep raising a few rounds of funding, but sooner or later, like the bottom falls out of that. Once you've kind of got some growth, once you've got some retention, then I think the main mistake that companies make are around building the org itself, and that essentially comes down to hiring. And I've seen, I think like hiring mistakes generally fall into two buckets. Either you hire too slowly or you hire too quickly, and both have their pros and cons. So hiring too slowly, I think, happens a lot for very like product-focused founders because they want to be involved in the details, they want to be hands-on on everything. Y Combinator gives a lot of great advice around do things that don't scale, but if you do things that don't scale for too long, you don't scale. And what happens is someone else comes in and actually builds the team and builds a sales team that goes out and gets all of your customers with a slightly inferior product to yours, but it's good enough. And so I definitely felt that was something that I saw more through like the initialized investing, because that's kind of when this plays out. The other, like hiring too quickly, that tends to happen in particular when you raise like a Series A or a substantial round of funding and you've got a board member. One trend is that new VCs in particular can push you to grow the org very quickly. And a consequence of that can be, if you take it to the extreme, is you start hiring so quickly that you don't sort of put rigor and thought into the hiring process itself, and you've got a whole bunch of people interviewing new candidates, but no one knows what they're looking for, and so the bar just kind of goes down, and now you've got sort of lower quality people coming in making bad decisions. You also don't tend to have enough time to like onboard and set people up for success, and so that means even if you hire good people, they may still make bad decisions because they don't kind of know like what they're expected to do. And eventually, and if you start making bad decisions as an org, the company's trajectory will sort of like start tapering off. That creates conflict, and that will mean your good people will leave too. So I think like it's really hard to find that balance between like don't hire too quickly so you collapse on yourself, but you also have to hire quickly enough that someone else doesn't come in and out execute you.